Agents across the miles with Linda and Qiana.
Well, I'm Linda Baker with Milestone Realty in San Jose, California.
Hello, I'm Qiana Didrikson. I'm with RSVP Real Estate, and we cover the greater Seattle area.
Well, thank you, Qiana. I love talking to you because you're just so full of energy, and God help anybody watching this because you're going to get an earful.
Energy and other things, I'm sure.
So tell me, why are people moving to the greater Seattle area? Who's moving up there too?
Right. So tech people in large part are coming up here. I mean, we have a couple giants up here. We have Microsoft, Google, Amazon. We have a lot of biomedical stuff here. So we have really quite a diverse economy, but mostly I would say the transplants are in the tech world.
I know we definitely have a lot of people going back and forth between our markets.
Yep. And a lot of people I would say the biggest state that's exporting into Washington right now is California. By far, probably. I don't know the stats on that, but just based on the calls I get, I can tell you it's California. But they're coming up, for a couple of reasons. One is, obviously work related. They're coming on at one of these big companies. But a lot of the workers from these companies are now able to be remote, and they haven't really gone back. So it is totally possible to work at Microsoft and live in California, but people are coming up here because while our pricing is somewhat obscene, it's not quite as bad as yours. And also it's just a lifestyle choice. I mean, you can live, 20 minutes from Microsoft and still, be to the ocean in 45 minutes, or be up skiing in an hour, or be on the other side of the mountains where, the weather is completely different. It can be raining in Seattle and snowing over there in about an hour and a half. So there's just lots to do around here. There's lots of hiking. There's just a whole lot of outdoor stuff, and people just really seem to be looking for that.
Well, I think that as different generations are now buying, the baby boomers are retiring, and you've got the Gen Xers and the millennials buying houses. You're seeing people really gravitating toward lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. That's one of the reasons. I mean, obviously, like when people are coming to the Bay Area, I don't think the Bay Area has been good at articulating the variety of lifestyles that we offer, because San Jose, the greater San Jose area, has so many different activities. I mean, we are 45 minutes to the beach, and I think our water's a little bit warmer than yours, though we still consider it cold. So we're surrounded by mountains. We've got redwoods on one side, and we've got wine country and water skiing, 4 hours to snow skiing. I mean, it's amazing how much we have here as well. So, but a lifestyle is important.
Yeah, like now that this generation has come along, that's like they care more about balance and lifestyle and ability to go do things than they care about being paid slightly more. So they're weighting their decisions very heavily based on that. And so I think we're all, learning in large part by asking people, hey, what brought you here? Why did you pick this? You came from New York, or you came from LA, or whatever. Why here? And they're like, oh, this, and this. It's like, oh yeah, I guess we do offer all those things. Cool.
Well, it's funny because I talk about it. The rule of real estate was location, location, location. And I've changed that. It's now location, lifestyle, and livability.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
So, yeah. It's interesting, but it's fun to think, it's nice to know who's coming to your area, because the same people, again, there's definitely a corridor between Seattle and the Silicon Valley, because a lot of the companies have offshoots there, except for, of course, Microsoft and Amazon, but they're still coming back and forth, because if you want to work up the corporate ladder, you really need to be where the decision makers are.
Sure.
Yeah. So we know who's coming to your area. Who's leaving your area?
In large part, folks that are retiring. It is quite expensive to live here. Property taxes are expensive. So we have folks that, their kids are grown. They're oftentimes following their children who have left the state. They're oftentimes looking for, less expensive areas with sunny weather. So we export to Texas, Arizona, Idaho. Has been Tennessee recently, has really been on my radar. I think I've sent probably 7 or 8 clients to Texas in the last couple of years. Cool. It was Arizona, and now it's kind of leaning more towards Texas. So And people that are just, they're just looking for a change. They're tired of, there's always reasons, sometimes politics are part of it for a lot of people. They want to get somewhere a little more neutral than Seattle is. We are quite blue up here, at least on this side of the mountains. So lots of reasons, but mostly just, I would say, people retiring and wanting to be near family.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Family is definitely a big motivator. That's the number one reason that they say is the reason that people are moving is to be closer to family. And it's funny, you talk about people leaving because of cost of living. Our cost of living clearly is very high, and it gives people an opportunity to cash out of the Bay Area, which is, incredibly expensive, and go to a more affordable place. You can't get better weather than we have, but you can definitely get someplace that is a bit more affordable.
Yeah, and it's a big deal.
So what kind of features are people, when they're moving to Seattle, what kind of features are they looking for? I mean, I guess it also depends on which part of the area that you're looking to put them in, because are they looking for Seattle proper? Are they looking for more of the burbs? I mean, and each of those areas have a different type of buyer profile.
Most of the people that come in, unless they are working for Amazon primarily, because Amazon is headquartered right in downtown Seattle, but most folks that come in are looking for the suburbs. Microsoft is a huge draw. Google's a huge draw. They're both in, they're in Redmond and Kirkland, which are very, very popular areas, very good schools. So mostly people are looking, to be close to work. And a lot of these folks have school-age children, and the schools are phenomenal. So that tends to be a really big part of the conversation anytime folks are coming in. And then it comes down to how much do you want to spend? Because even Qiana, I want to live in Redmond, which is where Microsoft is, and I want a 4-bedroom, 2.5-bath house under $2 million. You would have zero options this morning. And I do mean zero, literally. If I run that same search in Kirkland, which is where Google is, you would have 3 options, one of which hit the market about 2 hours ago. So,
wow.
Yeah. So we have to kind of have some conversations about what are your priorities, and then do those priorities match with your budget? And if they don't, then we just have to move you slightly out. Like, if you draw, if the middle of the bullseye is on Microsoft and you draw concentric circles moving out, we just have to move you slightly further out. So your commute might be a little bit farther, but we can still find you everything you're looking for, essentially.
It's funny. So it sounds like buying a house in the Seattle area is almost identical to buying a house here, because it really means less than, oh, I want to live in Los Gatos, I want to live in downtown Campbell. And it's like, that's great. What's your budget? Oh, my budget is $1 million. Well, then it's good to want things.
Yep.
So, so what's more important? The quality of the house, the size of the house, the size of the yard, or is driven by your budget? Because we can't change your budget, or can we? Are you holding back?
I mean, we can. How many dollars because spend of your money? Yeah.
I might say, Qiana, I only want to spend $500,000, and I end up spending $1 million. I mean, God knows it's happened to me.
Oh yeah, certainly. And that is the case for some lucky ones, and others it's not. And then we just have to have real estate versus imaginary estate conversations. Like, we got to be realistic with what we have here. Here's what I can get you, what would you like to do? But the good news is we really and truly do have options in nice areas that will fit most budgets. Like if you're under 500 around here, you're probably just in trouble in general, unless you want a condo. But above that, I can find you something in a nice area that will check most of the boxes. You just might have to commute a little bit further on the days that you go into work, which for most people is not every day in this area.
Usually it's like 3 days is what people are having to drive.
Yeah. I mean, we have people that move to the other side of the mountains because they're like, I only have to work once every 2 weeks in the office, or 1 day a week. And I'm totally willing to make that drive, that 1.5-hour drive over the pass that one day to have the lifestyle I want and the property I want and the home I want for the price I want to pay over there. So we've really found people becoming much more flexible, and it's fun because we can really pull in on what they want and help them get there. And that's pretty cool.
Well, this shows you that we have to be half psychologists.
Yeah. Yeah.
And learn how to ask questions,
right?
And make sure that they're answering the questions, or actually even realizing what the questions are. Because sometimes I don't think people have always thought through what they're looking for.
Well, and sometimes they just haven't considered what might be an option. It's like, and we all do it, right? Like we get locked in on what we think we want. And then we go look at it and, like I teach my buyer's agent, like watch body language. When someone walks into the right house, it will be they will light up like a Christmas tree. But when
you can feel it right in your gut.
You can feel it in your gut. But when they walk into a house that checks the boxes, it's what they told you they want, and you don't get that, something is wrong. And we need to go back and reassess, like, what is it? This is what you asked for.
Just the county that houses Seattle. Is that King County?
King County. Yep.
So what's the median or average price there?
So it's about 750, 760, but that is insanely misleading because I can get you a house in Auburn, for 500K, 600K, that would be, you couldn't get it for 1.5 in Kirkland, and they're in the same county. So yeah. It's a big county, and that's where we do most of our business, but it just drastically different price points depending on location and proximity to Redmond and Bellevue, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. We're the same way and it's been this way forever. The center of the radius is definitely the tech companies.
Yep.
And then the closer you are, the more expensive it is. And the further out you get, the longer your commute, the less expensive it gets. That's just the way it works.
People value their time more than ever. They don't want to do our commute. They're willing to sacrifice money to get closer because they, at the end of the day, time is the only valuable resource we have, really. And people are,
or unless they're looking for the lifestyle that living in that further place gives them, the more low-key lifestyle.
And again, they're both lifestyle choices, right? Like how much time you're going to spend in the car that's a lifestyle choice.
Oh, totally. Well, I think that everyone knows what Seattle weather is like. How many months a year does it really rain in Seattle?
So they think they do. And I've lived in Seattle or outside of Seattle in the suburbs since I was 5. And when I was a kid, the joke was always that, it gets nice on the 5th of July because it always rained on the 4th and was terrible. And then it would be like, maybe we would have a couple 80-degree days in the summer, and that was it. And man, that has changed. We do have several months straight of rain, and we're in the middle of it right now. And my kids have midwinter break in a couple weeks, and everybody and their mother is going to Hawaii or Mexico because we're just over it. By like middle of January, middle of February, everybody wants to get out. So yeah, the weather is rainy, and it's not like you go to Florida and it's like a downpour and then it stops. No, we just drizzle for like 6 months. So that's how it goes around here.
So gray is your best color.
Well, yeah, pretty much. It's everybody's, Mm-hmm. So, October is usually pretty good. By the time you get to November, weather's going to be questionable. You're going to get rain. We now get snow, which we never got when I was a kid. It was like it rained 9 months a year when I was little, and there was never any snow, and it never got past 80. So really, in a way, it's improved because now we get kind of more of that seasonality. We do still get the rain, but we get actual snow. And then in the summer, now it gets hot. Like air conditioning in homes was not a thing 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And now, like we had a heat snap a couple summers ago where it hit 118 degrees here. It killed all the trees. Like that just does not happen. But now it does get quite warm. Like we will see 80, 90-degree days in May and June.
In first grade in San Jose. And air conditioning was never a thing. You'd have a couple of hot days, in the summer. That was like, okay, you better have the fans going. And now having air conditioning is kind of expected, though. I've had someone pretty astute say, well, I think part of that's because people have gotten used to working in offices, and offices are automatically air conditioned. So they're used to living in that kind of, and our cars are all air conditioned. So part of it is just how we've adapted as well. But yeah, it's definitely gotten hotter. The rain is more mercurical. We've had longer drought seasons in California. But we still are. I was just looking at our average temperatures in the summertime, and our average temperatures are still for us in the 80s. And I love that we've been kind of touching on lifestyle because I think that is an important component about why people move to a certain area. San Jose's got, I think, a really interesting lifestyle because we've always been a big suburb. We were always, I call us the stepsister of San Francisco. It's like, oh, you want culture? You go to San Francisco. Well, San Jose gets Broadway shows, and we've got 5-star dining, and we've got Zagat rated restaurants and wine tasting and all kinds of great stuff. And like I said, proximity to things, and an hour to Monterey. We're 45 minutes to the beach. We're an hour to San Francisco. We've got the bay comes down and touches San Jose, Alviso area. We're close to so many things and so many activities, miles of bike riding and hiking and all kinds of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What's the cultural environment in this greater Seattle area?
It's really similar to what you just described. I mean, we have tons of hiking and biking. I mean, I can walk out of my house, walk down a block and a half, and hook up to a trail that goes for like 20 miles. In fact, you could
nice.
walk all the way. Yeah, all sorts of outside stuff. There's horseback riding, there is skiing, there's mountain biking, there's, if you go over to Eastern Washington, there's a whole lot of like off-road vehicle, ATVs, dirt bikes, that kind of stuff. It's really, really fun. There's rodeos over there. I mean, there's a big equestrian community, not only there, but, now on this side as well. If you go to, Woodinville or up north, you'll find properties, or Duval, with these big old equestrian properties. So, I mean, we obviously have access to Puget Sound and Lake Washington and Lake Sammamish. These are great for boating or water skiing or whatever you want to do. I mean, we have summer, we really kind of year-round stuff. We're not, a one-season town. Like, there is stuff to do all year.
Well, how's the market been up there? I mean, I know you touched on it earlier. Inventory's been low. I know our inventory was low last year. We had the lowest sales last year since the 90s.
Yeah, I think everybody I think that's, largely a nationwide trend, and it was the same up here. I mean, we still had a good year, but we were just limited by inventory and, by rates and whatnot. So rates have come down, as everybody knows, I'm sure. We think they're going to continue to come down, and all buyers up here needed, and I suspect everywhere else, was just a little bit of confidence, because we've been telling them, like, calm down, the rates will come down. Don't worry, you're not stuck at 8.5% forever. Just, calm down.
Date the rate, marry the house.
Right. And that is what we've been saying. And so we saw, in January, what we always do, which is after, the kids go back to school and people go back to work and, sober up after their holidays, they start their home search again. And any standing inventory that didn't sell in the fall, which was very little to begin with, gone instantaneously. Yeah. And now we're starting to see the first wave of listings come up. I've got 15 files on my desk, 7 or 8 of those are listings, and they're all getting ready to go. So I talked to a colleague yesterday who listed a house that was nothing special, and she got 16 offers on it. So, which is exactly
16 offers,
which is exactly what we kind of expected. There's just so much pent up energy and pent up demand, and buyers just needed that little bit of a reassurance that, okay, they're not lying. The rates will come down. It's not that bad. We're telling them, be willing to make that payment for 12 to 18 months. Probably not even that long. And then you can refinance, your rate's going to drop. But for the love of God, buy a house now so I don't have to get in multiple offers, because as soon as those rates come down, everybody and their mother is going to jump off the fence. And now we're going to be up to 15, 16, 20. I've been in a situation with 40 offers before.
Yes.
That's a real if you're a buyer.
So when you're seeing that number of multiple offers, what percentage over the asking price are they typically selling for?
It depends. We see them go hundreds of thousands over, much like you guys do at the higher end. At the lower end, I mean, if it's a $600,000 house, it's unlikely to go for $850,000. But if it's a $1.6 million house, it might go for 1.9. It just depends. We see. Not only does it go up in price, but terms are a thing. The smart listing agents pre-inspect all their listings. So at least we can give the report to buyers who are interested. I know you do this.
We've had this conversation. That's how we do it here in Silicon Valley.
Yep, we do exactly the same thing. So, that really allows buyers to kind of knock the ball out of the park when the listing agent sets up the listing appropriately from the get-go. So in those situations, I mean, we see stuff with no contingencies at all, no financing, no inspection, non-refundable earnest money released instantly to the seller. I got $200,000.
We don't do that.
Oh yeah, and we do, and I honestly wish we didn't, because it is such a lawsuit waiting to happen. But that's a different story. Yeah, I had $200,000 cash released instantly to my seller a few months ago. So no matter what happens, my seller gets that $200K, and buyer's out of luck. Now, that buyer closed in a week because they didn't like that feeling, but we see that stuff. So it's really, really competitive. I'm fully expecting to get right back into that here very quickly, which is why we're telling people, like, get off the fence, buy now, we might be able to negotiate. You might even get an inspection. Imagine that. It'll be great. So we're trying to get that before it goes nuts again.
I love when a buyer says, well, I'm waiting for the right opportunity. I'm not in a rush. I want a deal. The deals have already happened. They don't exist.
Right.
Yeah, no, we are definitely kindred spirits when it comes to that philosophy. That's exactly what we've been telling people. So it's just, I just ran an offer on a house that was list price at $1.4 million and it sold 25% over. Went for $1,770,000. Crazy.
I heard about one last year that went, it was priced, I think, right around $1 million, and it went for $1 million over. So it was double the list price. And I don't know the details.
Yeah, but see, that's where you also have to wonder, was it deliberately?
Right.
And here we underprice things to get that kind of.
I think they probably did, either out of ignorance or hopefully it was strategy, but that's the worst I've ever heard, was double the list price. But yeah, we certainly get, easily 10% over. I mean, in fact, we tell buyers, like, listen, when the market gets going and we're in multiples, don't even look. If it's within 10% of the top of your budget, you are setting yourself up for failure. If you're not willing to waive just about everything and possibly name one of your children after the sellers.
I bet you had to give the child away.
Sometimes you do.
The sellers.
Yeah, or your dog. Maybe, like, how much do you like your dog? The seller.
Yeah, that's that. Yes, yeah.
We've had to do some
100%.
really unsavory stuff. And the conversations we're having with buyers is like, look, this is the situation you're in. I don't get to control this environment. I can tell you what it takes to win. I can tell you those things are legally probably not advisable. But if you don't do them, you're not going to get the house. Like, what's it going to be?
Talk about cost of living. Because, here in Silicon Valley, or California, we've got income tax. We've got our property taxes are about 1.25% of the sales price. So, but we do have still the Prop 13. So if you bought your house years ago, your property tax basis is much lower. Our food is really relatively inexpensive, I would say, unless you're buying just junk food. And our utilities are probably, I would say, they're expensive, but they're still moderate because our climate doesn't force you to have your heater on all the time and your AC on all the time. What's it like to live up there cost-wise?
Yeah, it's similar to that. I mean, gosh, until we really started getting more of these seasonal, much colder, much warmer things. I mean, I don't think I bothered to turn my furnace on until about October most years, and then goes off again in April, but now that's not the case. So we're starting to see higher utilities. We're starting to see, just everything's more expensive, right? To some extent. Property taxes, it used to be that when I looked at the property tax for a home, it was reliably about 30% below it's about 1% some other years, but it was the assessed value was always about 30% below or so. And that was because the counties just didn't want to have the argument with homeowners. They're like, we understand we're taking a hit here.
So when you have the sale, do they reassess the property to the sales price?
Not necessarily. They don't adjust it to the sales price. They just, it might go up, but not to the sales price. So that was nice. But they got really aggressive last year. I got more calls last year from clients saying, my property taxes went up by 30%. This is nuts. What do I do? Like, help me make an argument that my property's not worth this. I was like, well, bad news. Your property probably is worth that. So I will look for evidence for you, but the county just got a lot more aggressive. So that has cost people some money. That's made it a little bit less affordable. And as a result, we've seen kind of a mass exodus for folks that are like, they're retired, they're on fixed income. Yeah. And this huge increase is not great for them. Now, we do also have senior tax exemptions. So if you are over 62, I think the cutoff is, and you can show that you're not making millions of dollars a year, then they will take your taxes and take them from thousands a year down to hundreds a year, which is really, really helpful.
That's nice.
Yeah. So
no, it's interesting. I was talking to Jeannie Corner from Nevada, and she was, I think it was Jeannie, and she was saying that the older homes have a lower tax basis than the newer homes. So it really gave an advantage to buying an older house.
Huh.
Yeah, because you would actually inherit the old person's tax basis.
Yeah. It's not like that here. There is no differentiation between old houses and new houses. It's just They look at what they think your house is probably worth and, ballpark, algorithm, like might as well hop on Zillow, it's just about that accurate. But they just kind of, I think, intentionally kept it on the low side because they just didn't want to. I mean, it takes time and money to have those arguments with homeowners, right? And they just don't want to do that. But because we saw prices increase so drastically for so many years, I think somebody finally went, hey, wait a second, we can be a little bit more aggressive than that. And unfortunately, they decided to be aggressive right as prices kind of took a hit because interest rates skyrocketed. So all these things happened at the exact same time. And sellers are like, hey, wait a second, like, I don't even know.
Isn't that always how it works?
Well, Murphy's Law, right? I mean, of course, like, why wouldn't it happen that way? So, we have had a couple sellers go have discussions and they started them a year ago and they're still ongoing. I was like, gosh, by the time you get this thing resolved, your house is going to be sold or, you're going to move or something, who knows? But so price of living is, I would say certainly on the high side on a national level, but as we all know, on the coasts, it's more expensive to live than in the middle of the country. So.
But then you also don't have state income tax, do you?
Correct. No, we do not. Yeah. So that's nice.
So that's a benefit.
Yeah.
What's your favorite thing about living there? And what's your worst or least favorite thing about living there?
My favorite thing is easy. We spend a lot of time outside at my house. We don't go places. It's hard for us to go places. One of my sons is very, very severely autistic. And he does weird stuff and he makes weird noises and, we adore him and think it's great, but it's hard to take him out in public. So we have kind of made home our oasis. It is safe and nice. The fact that I can leave my house and in an hour and 15 minutes, be in a different climate. If it is crappy and raining, at my main house, it'll be either not raining and nice and sunny over there or snowing, which is more fun. So, it's really easy to get to somewhere that feels, it's far enough away to feel totally different, but it's close enough where you don't, leave one of your kids on the side of I-90 on the way over because they're being a jerk kind of thing. So lots of that. I mean, same reason as everybody else wants to be here is why we love it here.
I love it.
I would say traffic is a challenge. I'm sure it is where you are too. We try not to leave the house during rush hour if we can avoid it. We schedule our lives accordingly.
Amen, sister.
And, for a while, like during COVID, there was no traffic and it was great, but it is back. So that is a downside. Anytime you get an area that's that populous and that popular, traffic's going to be a thing. But
and it's contained. I mean, there's only so many places that you can have a road and a freeway, and I definitely
water and mountains. There's only so much you can do about that. So,
and if not, you've got the vast plains with nothing on it. So, no, but I'm the same way. I do not schedule appointments in Sunnyvale at 6:00.
No,
shoot me, because I don't want to be stuck in rush hour traffic. It's definitely traffic is an issue. It is definitely better than it was pre-COVID.
Yeah.
You could measure how long, you could tell how good the economy was. That was my joke, that you could tell how good the economy is by the traffic. Living in the Bay Area is just the diversity of everything. Mm-hmm. From climate to, we can go to, if I want cold, I can go to Half Moon. If it's hot here, I can go to the coast because the heat from the valley sucks in the fog. So the coast will be freezing cold and the valley will be hot. So that's a wonderful thing. Or we can go, like I said, hiking. We've got so much to do here. So there's many, many favorite things that I love about this area. And I agree with you. The worst thing about the Bay Area is the traffic. We're not LA. Thank God we're not LA. I drove through LA one time with my brother-in-law in rush hour traffic. And I let him drive because it was our car, but he drove. So I did not want to drive in LA traffic. And when we got to our destination, I swear to God, I wanted to bend down and kiss the ground because I was white knuckling the whole way through.
Yeah, it's cool.
Well, Qiana, I always love chatting with you. Thank you so much. Thank you for handling my client referrals. And if when I have clients to refer to that area, you're the first person I call.
Well, right back at you. We love them. So always happy to help. Love chatting with you. You're my favorite. And
thanks so much.
All right. Can't wait to see you soon.